I gotta be honest with you. I had not watched this movie since I was in high school, maybe.
That may factor into things.
Yes. And I'm going to have another confession, and that is that while I am guilty of occasionally enjoying quoting movies as a form of humor, particularly The Princess Bride, I'm quite annoyed by people quoting Austin Powers.
I mean, I don't feel like I hear it quoted that often around me, but it is... I do recall it being quoted more often in the past, and watching it to get those cues just doesn't live up to what they become now. Like, I don't even think I know exactly where the doctor says, "How about no?" Is that even in this movie, or is that...
I think that might be the next movie.
Oh, okay.
Maybe. I don't know. All of it blends together in my head.
Oh,
but
boy.
It's one of those things where as I think about it, I'm like, man, I loved this movie. And I kept hearing quotes. And you are right. Culturally, it has kind of fallen off. But I'm going to say, in the last month, it might have just been 2 weeks ago. My time doesn't mean anything anymore, so it's hard for me to keep track of it. But very recently, I heard someone quote the entire "Who is number 2 working for?" or "Who does number 2 work for?" Like, they said it all 3 or 4 times that the movie says it in the same grunting way. And they were just walking around talking to a friend, and they were referencing Austin Powers as a joke. And I was like, oh my gosh, that was the worst scene in the whole movie. And you still quote it.
Yeah, I think that could safely be the worst scene.
All right, let's start this thing. Do you want to start us off this time?
No, I'm good. I don't have the pep for trying to remember what's going on.
Hello and welcome to Potato Chip Pictures, the movie franchise review podcast, currently looking at the Austin Powers franchise, starting with Austin Powers, International Man of Mystery. But before all of that, my name is B. Sammy Davis.
I am Justin. Welcome back.
And today we are jumping all the way back to 1997, when director Jay Roach and writer/actor Mike Myers released an $18 million movie, an $18 million comedy movie that was kind of a send-off to the spy films of the 60s. And they just returned a measly $68 million.
That's amazing.
From their $18 million dumb
Were there
movie.
no other movies? What else was in 1999? It's like, did The Matrix come out?
Well, Matrix was 98 or 99, so this was right before The Matrix. But I think it was like a year or two after GoldenEye. So Tomorrow Never Dies, Pierce Brosnan's second movie, came out in 1997. And Austin Powers is obviously kind of a send-up to James Bond, so maybe the fact that GoldenEye happened in 95, that may have inspired Mike Myers and the production company to be like, you know what, the time is right, let's do this thing.
I guess.
And at the time, it was huge.
I don't know why. I mean, maybe all the high schoolers just really enjoyed going to the movies.
I mean, it is peak Gen X humor. There are so many long gags, so many things. Like there's several vehicle related sequences that seem to just go on over and over, or go on forever, and then come to an end for no reason or with no real resolution. And that was peak late 90s humor for the 20s to 30s of that time. And because my older brothers were super into it, in 97 I was probably late grade school, early junior high.
Okay.
I would have just idolized their sense of humor, and so I would have tried to watch it every chance I got.
I mean, it belongs at some point in history, just like James Bond belongs. I don't know that I would ever see this getting a reboot with Pierce Brosnan.
Yeah, that is one of the kind of crazy things to think about. Every once in a while, we are threatened with an Austin Powers 4, and then nothing ever comes of it. But I do sometimes think about that. Would Mike Myers have the audacity to be like, I'm going to be, I'm gonna do it. 60-year-old Austin Powers, and
let's do it. No, let's not. Unless these next two movies reinvigorate and make it funnier.
I mean, we'll have to see. I have not watched Beyond International Man of Mystery. And, I have in front of me all of the budgets and returns for the franchise, and this is the one with the lowest budget, and by far, by hundreds of millions of dollars, the lowest return.
Whoa.
Yeah, like this one is shocking when you look at the rest of the franchise. You're like, how did this become such a cultural phenomenon? How did this become so important that not only did it get 2 sequels, but both of those sequels returned hundreds of millions of dollars? And that's bizarre.
I'm trying to think of maybe the draw of Mike Myers, but I don't know in the 80s, early 90s what sort of stuff he was involved in.
There was that other Saturday Night Live produced, I say Saturday Night Live produced, I just can't remember the name of that producer who also did a bunch of those actors' movies. Wayne's World. He had Wayne's World 1 and 2.
Yeah.
Those were mega hits. But beyond that, I think all of his other movies were middling at best. My favorite is So I Married an Axe Murderer. I think that movie is brilliant. I think it's hilarious.
I can see those other movies or at least Wayne's World, as having a reason for people to know that, oh, this guy will be fun. Let's go watch this guy in his movie. Because did Austin Powers exist outside of this sort of media, or was it
I don't think so. I think this was a brand new character. Same with Dr. Evil. They were brand new for this movie. If he did anything like Austin Powers, it would have been like a dumb background sketch thing. But I'm pretty sure both characters existed for this movie. Like they were written and created for this.
Looks like you got So I Married an Axe Murderer in 93 and Wayne's World 2 in 93. And then the next thing he did was Austin Powers in terms of movies. So
he took a little bit of time off in terms of movies.
I can see it. I could see it. What do you call it? Hyping up from that, where some people really enjoyed Wayne's World 2 or something like that.
Yeah, like you saw him in Wayne's World 2. Now watch him twice in Austin Powers International Man of Mystery.
And we're not quite to the intro yet, but I don't know why we try and hide the fact that he's Dr. Evil as well at the first scene.
I think that, and yes, we will get to it, so I don't want to say, but I do want to say that to this movie's credit, there are times when I genuinely forget that the same actor is playing both Austin Powers
True.
and Dr. Evil.
True. Yes, same.
So to Mike Myers' credit, he has really done a great job of creating two very different characters. And as an audience member, I sometimes forget. So I'm into that.
It works out. What's his name? Austin Powers is just so grown worthy, I think would be the right way to say. Yes, that's supposed to be how he is because he's from the 60s in the 90s. Yeah. And I was trying to think of a good way to compare it with James Bond because he's like the transition happened from Sean Connery era to Timothy Dalton even. I feel like there's that pre-era and then more modern. So I don't think there's a reason. I don't know. Maybe they wanted to mostly send up the 60s Bonds, 70s Bonds.
Well, and for me, I think that there are there's more than three. There are four very clear references in this. Well, and then I say very clear. To me, there are four things that I can look to in culture and say maybe that is what inspired it. The first one is going to be You Only Live Twice. That's the Japanese James Bond where we finally got to see Blofeld's face.
Oh.
And he had the big scar on his face. He was in the gray suit and, he hid his face for the whole movie, had the cat. That is what Dr. Evil is based on. I also think much of the plot and style is based on You Only Live Twice, because remember, that is the one where world famous secret agent James Bond died and his face was in all the papers. Well, Austin Powers is world famous. So
not a good secret spy.
Yeah. So that's my first thing that I point to. You Only Live Twice gives us Dr. Evil and it gives us Austin Powers fame. Then the third thing I would point to, well, I guess the first thing is You Only Live Twice, but the second thing I would point to would actually be Michael Caine from the 60s. He had terrible teeth, really dorky glasses. He looked like a nerd, and yet he is so sexy. Like, he's from the 60s. Michael Caine was it. And I think that's what they made Austin Powers to be like. They wanted him to be 1960s Michael Caine.
Yeah.
Because he doesn't look like any of the Bonds.
No. I was trying to work out how much we're wanting him to seem like James Bond, where maybe it fits better with that era of Michael Caine that I don't quite know. I think Michael Caine was in a spy film series or something.
I don't know if he was.
The Avengers or something.
Oh, he might have been. I know he was in The Italian Job, the original Italian Job that came out around that time. And he's okay in it. I'm not a big fan of the original Italian Job.
Sure.
And I'm only kind of okay with the remake that ends up being a commercial for minis. But the original, I can kind of see Austin Powers based on him. And then the last thing I'll just point to is From Russia with Love, where we had that German, or the Russian lady who was the main villain of that movie. And I think that's what the Fraulein in this movie is meant to reference.
Oh yeah, I think
that's the love letter to the past, in my view, are those three primary pieces of culture. Two Bond movies and a non-Bond actor.
I think it just goes well with the feeling of some sort of secret organization. You need secret spies to fight against them, but they can't be secret. It's a satire. They have to be internationally known. So let's send Austin Powers over after Dr. Evil, who's hides his face in all the 1960s scenes for no reason at all. Did they market this without showing Dr. Evil?
I don't remember. I'd have to watch any of the trailers, because surely they showed us Mike Myers as Austin Powers, Mike Myers as Dr. Evil. Like,
I would think so.
Oh, man. All right, well, let's get into it, because you started mentioning the intro, and I have to say the strongest elements of this movie are the very beginning and the very end. And the strongest part of this movie, I really genuinely believe, is the intro all the way to the musical number. I'm like, all right, we're in for a ride. Let's go on this ride.
Musical? Oh, where you like dances and stuff?
Yes.
I wasn't quite sure what to make of it, because like he escapes after the musical number. Oh, because it like there's a band and stuff. It is, I don't know. I don't know the 60s to know if this is like a theme, additional satire of shows. I guess 60s had like, not, I don't know, when Grease came out, stuff like that.
Yeah, and you had a lot of the television stuff that was, you didn't have MTV. Instead, you had things like Ed Sullivan, or, shows that would have live music and screaming audiences.
Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah, but I'm with you. I don't know 60s media well enough. I recently watched a couple of 1960s James Bond movies, but they didn't look anything like this.
Yeah. You're a fan of the dance numbers and musical stuff in at least this intro?
I have a soft spot for them. I don't think they're good.
I
don't think they really should exist at all. And yet, one of the things that I have observed is that a lot of culturally important movies, and a lot of very good movies, will have, for no reason, a song and dance number. Either people on screen are singing and there are background people dancing, or it's just music playing and all of the actors have started dancing for no reason. And, one of the things that pops into my head is the criminally underrated Clerks 2, where at the beginning of that movie, for some reason, everybody goes out in the parking lot and has this huge dance number.
I feel like I'm okay with it when it feels, I don't know, it's inconsistent with the universe, but that's because we're kind of hitting a imagination part of the universe. I specifically think of the dance number and cartoon birds in 500 Days of Summer, because that's like, oh, this isn't reality anymore. That's okay. But Austin Powers is very, we are in reality. We're dancing in the street. It's all choreographed.
That's just what we do in reality.
We just do that. So I didn't love that in the beginning.
And I'm fine with that. I genuinely cannot tell you why it tickled me. It didn't make me go ha ha ha.
Sure.
I was just like, oh, this is fun. And I cannot deny that the Austin Powers theme song is probably one of the most important theme songs ever written. And I can't believe you would just say it's not bad.
I mean, it's not, what's the word? Which the song that I'm thinking of? Yes, it matches Austin Powers at any point in time. If you play that, it will be him. You play the brass from James Bond, and it'll be James Bond. Like, that works, but okay, it's like all of the commercial jingles that stick in your head. It's fun, and it matches Austin Powers. I'll give you that. I don't think it'll ever end up on any of my top song choices.
Okay. I will go with you there. It is never going to show up in my liked songs and likely will never show up in a playlist that I create for myself.
Sure.
But I have never been upset about being out in public and hearing that whistle from the song. I'm always like, that is so pleasant to the ears. Like, it just works. It does make me think of Austin Powers, but that's just because I've heard or I've watched the movies. I think if I had never watched the movies, I think I would still be like, man, this song is really good.
Like there's any words in it, right?
Nope, no words, just music.
It's a good instrumental. Yes.
Yeah. And that might be where it is. But I will go with you in saying, yeah, it's never going to show up in my liked songs. It's just going to be one of those things that I'm like, I acknowledge this as great.
Understood.
But then the movie starts to fall apart for me as soon as Austin Powers gets in the car.
I mean, I don't know that we have to compare it all the way to Bond, but since it is taking on the spy genre, the dashboard with Basil exposition is solid. Like, here is M, and he is exactly like M was in James Bond. Isn't that silly? Quotes in the air. Yes, that is silly. Here's his job. It feels honest in its upfront portrayal of, okay, this is happening because this happens to spies and he's planning on killing you. Like, you don't really need to know much more than that. We just need you to know that he's coming after you.
Frankly, we don't need you to know anything. We're telling this to the audience because it's exposition from Basil Exposition. Like, I go back and forth. Some days I'm like, all right, that's pretty clever. Like, you got to give us some exposition. It's the thing that every writer struggles with. How do you get the audience into the world? And they went for the lowest hanging fruit. Let's get a guy named Exposition to give us the exposition. And some days I'm like, that sucks. Other days I'm like, all right, that's pretty genius.
I think the exposition, or the dialogue between Austin and Mrs. Kensington is interesting. It's okay. Like, oh, you're married, so we can't ever do anything. This is Moneypenny and James Bond. But I feel like it was maybe not set up a bunch. I don't know how you would introduce the idea of he's going to be frozen and meet her daughter, because on second viewing of the beginning, she, at the club that they go to, is dressed up how Vanessa will eventually be dressed up in the later part of the movie. I
watched that movie twice this week, and I did not notice that once.
I'm trying to remember when she wears this like black head to toe outfit, but I'm pretty sure it's the same thing that her daughter wears later on. And you'll have to look for clips to confirm that, or
we'll see. Or I'll just ignore it completely and let the podcast listeners hear this, but not the short viewers.
I get you. So that was a quick, inconsequential nod to James Bond and Moneypenny. I feel like those are randomly spread out here, but they're individually, it's fun. Slammed all together into a movie, I don't love it.
See, and I'm okay with it until we get to the main henchman later on.
Okay.
That's where I'm like, okay, you took it one step too far and the joke kind of lost its luster. But I'm okay with it here. Honestly, I was more distracted by the empty clubhouse that they were partying in. Like they got 30 people and they just kept positioning them in front of the camera in different ways. It looks best When it's zoomed in and you've got a few people in the background, then it looks crowded. When it's zoomed out and you've got a lot of space between extras and a scantily populated stairs and balcony, I start imagining, what if you had no music and you just have a bunch of extras in a room going, woo, yeah, clap my hand every once in a while.
Which I generally don't break my immersion like that, but I totally can see it being a stage where they're all just bouncing around in quiet. So
silence.
So the microphone can pick up the actors saying their bits.
Oh, man. I like the Andy Warhol look-alike. I think that sets pretty good tone, but I'm still distracted.
I'm okay that they didn't say anything about him because it's just like, what do you say with this? He's
there,
at the
man.
club. He's at this club that Austin's at. So this major figure that maybe the 90s, 2000s era audiences don't know anything about. He's totally there. Doesn't really add too much to my immersion in this era that we're going to jet away from.
And it's one of those things where it's a joke that plays better for me as an adult who now knows who Andy Warhol was, kind of. I still don't fully know all of his mystique, but I've heard enough and watched enough documentaries to be like, okay, he was a big deal person in the 60s. No wonder he would make a cameo at an Austin Powers party.
Yeah.
But as a kid watching this, because I think the first time I watched it was like 99, maybe the 2000s. I didn't know who that was. I was like, who's that white-haired dude that they're looking at a couple of times, and why does he never come back to this movie?
He doesn't matter. Well,
he really doesn't. But the server matters. The person taking drink orders.
Oh. It's definitely a woman, then definitely a man. It was like, James Bond doesn't have any of those sort of moments where he finds somebody that's not who they're supposed to be, right? I feel like
I can't remember a single one.
He may get like a sense that these are spies protecting Severine, but he doesn't go and unmask them. Yeah.
Who knows? Like, I don't know where they got that from. Maybe it's just a totally original idea, but it's a running gag. We'll get to enjoy it again.
See it again. Yeah.
And he doesn't even get to give us any information because for some reason Dr. Evil's at the party.
He's trying to shoot. He's trying to kill Austin. But he had an assassin already there trying to kill Austin. But
I don't think he is trying to kill Austin. I think he's trying to kill the assassin to stop him from speaking.
Well, I will say that having read a little bit of the summary in the wiki, it was pointed out how tangentially similar the assassination was with was it Volpa? Somebody got shot in the back.
Volpa got shot in the back, and you reminded me of From Russia with Love in the gypsy camp when the bad guy shoots another bad guy to stop the other bad guy from killing Bond. And so then I'm like, well, maybe Dr. Evil is like, no, I must be the one to kill Bond.
I guess so. Yeah. So
I don't do impressions, dear listener, so that was my best.
Possible nod to some of those James Bond ones, but I don't know. He just kills his own assassin, and the movie has to continue.
And we still don't even get to see Dr. Evil as he escapes in his rocket ship.
For no reason. I'm a little upset with that part because...
See, and I genuinely think that is kind of funny because of You Only Live Twice, where for the first half of the movie, they are hiding... I keep calling him Dr. Evil. They keep hiding Blofeld's face. They're always shooting him at obscured angles or something is otherwise blocking out what would be a view of his face. And then when Bond shows up, that's when he looks around his chair, and here we are at the end of the movie, and it's like, why did we have to have this mystery? Like, he's in the movie. Why did you have to hide his face for the whole thing? So
we know who he is.
Yeah, like, so I'm okay with it just for the fact that a very good Bond movie did the exact same thing and longer.
Oh, well, he gets away. He's hiding in
in a
the
big boy statue.
I don't know why Dr. Evil would be in a big boy statue. I kind of don't care. I kind of hate it.
I don't know if we want to reveal where we live, but I'm going to say I've only lived in our mutual state for 20 years. Only 20 years. But I just haven't been here my whole life. Has our state ever had a big boy in it?
I am not aware of that.
I don't think I've ever seen one here.
I don't think I've ever even heard of that statue being anywhere as like, oh, go take a picture with it, which I imagine, like those Conoco dinosaurs that you can see at the gas stations, I think.
And when I lived in Ohio, I was in grade school at the time. I know there was at least one big boy because we went there several times. And the statue wasn't huge. It wasn't like rocket ship sized. And it was it was at ground level. It was probably 6 feet tall. But as a child, it was huge. It was massive, So I'm sure there are pictures of me with the big boy statue from the mid 90s. But I don't know why the big boy was chosen as the funniest type of rocket ship.
Right?
That they could give us.
I have no idea. I'm racking my brain for this might be the most out of place thing in this out of place movie of we're not in the 60s anymore, but here's a big boy from the 60s, but they still exist. At least number 2 does talk about as like a corporate dude. Like, well, big boys, he's always been around. And I do chuckle at that because it's the straight guy talking in a comedy movie saying, I've built this corporation up and I think I don't want to do this. So see you later. And
now the only place I'm going to correct you is that it wasn't number 2 who said that. It was the guy tracking the rocket from the U.S. military, where he calls the general and he's like, it looks like it's the shape of a big boy. And the general's like, he's back. And the guy's like, the big boy never left. Yeah. And so, having been to a big boy restaurant, I guess part of me was like, yeah, I guess he has never left. But now I live in an area where I have not seen a big boy in 20 years.
Yeah.
Maybe more.
Even driving around, I don't think I've seen any. Maybe in California. I can't remember
I have family in Georgia. I haven't seen one in Georgia, so I don't know.
Yeah. Well, he escapes in that, and it has a cryogenic freezer in that, and Austin, like, off the cuff, decides to also freeze himself for 30 years, and I had to rewind it to be curious. When did he decide to go to freeze himself? Oh, it's like one sentence. Okay. All right. Yep.
They're just like, yeah, well, thankfully we have Basil exposition to tell us what happened 30 years ago.
Basically. Everybody's frozen.
Yeah, I was going to say, I hate the unfreezing scene. Like, there are some pretty funny jokes that for some reason British intelligence has a bunch of C-tier American celebrities who haven't been around for a while.
These guys are also frozen in the
We've
UK.
got Vanilla Ice and Gary Coleman for some
British
reason.
At all? Yeah.
Nope.
Okay. They're just very 60s.
They're not even that. Like, they're both
exactly.
80s.
Right? It doesn't make very much sense.
Yes, but whatever. It's part of the visual gag, and I honestly, the only part of the unfreezing process that still kind of makes me chuckle is the warm liquid goo phase. I don't know why. I just think that is such a funny name for that phase. Like,
phase,
what does it
yeah.
do? It's the warm, gooey, whatever
Liquid.
phase. Yeah, gooey.
He has to go inside of it, and then everything will be good.
Yep.
I halfway was trying to think in my brain, what are the gags that we're missing in terms of visually? So I started trying to watch people in the background doing what they're doing. And then the unfreezing scene, I was looking at him coming out of the goo, and I had to wonder, because of the color of the goo, is this like supposed to mimic a fry machine at some like at a Big Boy or something, like because he comes out kind of all yellowy fried? I was trying to think of what would you incorporate that's topical but then makes absolutely no visual sense later on. Well,
Yeah. I don't
some
know.
things.
It clearly worked for me. The long pee gag did not work for me.
No.
That's just one of the many long gags in this movie that for some reason they don't work for me. Like, and that sucks because I do enjoy a long gag. I really do. Like, there are times when something being not funny for a very long period of time will give me a genuine chuckle, and this was not one of them. It's just like, okay, yay, peeing, hooray.
Yeah. Yeah. Very juvenile, I'm sure. I mean, again, I think the high schools probably gave this thing 20 million of its dollars.
Yep, why not?
Yep. I mean, we could just call out all of the long gags as we get there and say,
Oh yeah, I was gonna say we will have plenty of them. We get to meet Vanessa during the unfreezing process, played by Elizabeth Hurley, one of the most beautiful women in the world.
Most Beautiful Woman of 1997. Check.
Oh yeah, yeah. So I guess in that way they got Bond right.
They got Bond.
They at least hired one gorgeous person.
I think it would have been funny if they had gotten some a Bond woman from like the 90s Bond era. I think I would have laughed, and
If
I
they
think
got
it could have
Jean
been
Grey
fun.
to be
Yeah.
in it, like
I
I don't
think that
remember
could have
the
been fun.
actress's name. I only remember Anna Top and Jean Grey.
Yeah.
But according to the wiki, we have passed over the villain side, but I kind of wanted to go to the villain side at this point because we finally get to see Dr. Evil's face.
It's really well done. I think in terms of Blofeld, it doesn't have a bunch of crazy extra facial scars, but
Just the one?
it's nice and clean, and I think they did a great job at Dr. Evil. Maybe not as great with Austin Powers. I feel like it's a discomfort thing to look at him,
Yes.
but then getting over that discomfort, I started looking at Austin's teeth because, they're bad. I haven't been looking at them the whole time, but now looking at them, it's like, well, these are just like costume Halloween teeth.
Yes.
These
They're
really
not-
suck.
Exactly. They're not bad like bad teeth should be. They're bad as in a bad prop, and you can see the
Yeah.
paint where they put the black for the gap of the teeth, but it looks like something that could be flossed out. Like,
Yeah.
it's very poorly done on the teeth. Fine, whatever. I eventually lose interest in how bad they look unless the movie like makes me look at them. And then I'm like, man, they don't look good. But on the other side, there's a lot going on with Dr. Evil. You've got a fat suit to make Mike Myers look bigger. You've got a prosthetic nose. You've got the prosthetic scar. You've got a bald cap on it. And I think he might have prosthetic ears as well. Like, I think it's only his chin and cheeks that are Mike Myers. Everything else is latex or plastic. And
Interesting.
I think that's part of what sells the character so well, is that they actually put a lot of effort into the Dr. Evil costume. And then you look at all they had to do with Austin Powers was just make teeth and silly costumes, 60s style costumes. And the teeth are terrible.
Yeah. Yeah. He's not my favorite. It's just compared to Dr. Evil, hit it precisely. It seems like just a little not sure what else we can do to make this guy British and annoying, but give him the same innuendos as James Bond and worse teeth and slightly more aggressive sexuality, which is that's
kind of bizarre, huh?
it's kind of a lot for after James Bond. Like,
it's like, I didn't know that you could have someone worse.
right.
Yet. Although we haven't gotten there yet, it's still several scenes in the future, but Austin Powers refuses to sleep with a drunk Vanessa Kensington, and I deeply appreciate that for the late 90s, when, this was a time where people still would be like, yeah, just get her drunk and then she'll say yes, and that's consent. It's like, no, that is not. And this movie called it out.
His part was just, compared to the rest of everything, it felt like a concession for him to not do that, to be decent in that way.
I mean, you need a hero to be heroic sometimes.
This one time, which, yes, good time to be that. The bar for decent is in hell. Like,
all right. Well, I don't want to gloss over it. We need to have the actual plan. Even though number 2, played by Robert Wagner in a really terrific performance for, a bit character. He explains that they are this multi-billion-dollar company that has all of these other subsidiaries. They are essentially a modern-day corporate conglomerate that is currently killing the world. But Dr. Evil doesn't think that's good enough, and he wants to make a plan for $1 million. Everyone laughs at him because of inflation. Ha 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 ha. It's going to be $100 billion, but we don't get to get off that easily, because after they've decided on the plan, we've got to meet Seth Green, who is playing Scott Evil, the clone of Dr. Evil.
I feel like the movie kind of jumps around too, because I don't remember being Scott in the first one.
Yeah, and
but
I could
they're
be
still
having
at the
it
table.
wrong.
They're still at the table when they meet him. I don't feel like they move from the table from a lot of the movie.
Oh yeah,
which
almost every Dr. Evil scene is at the table.
I feel like it mimics the boat that Blofeld had with his people.
Yeah,
Always
from
on the
Russia
boat.
with Love. We just kept cutting back to that boat to have our bad guy scenes.
Discussions. Not like Spectre, but they need a whole museum to house their 600 people.
Okay, the one character who is introduced during the evil beginnings, the evil plan, the one guy, I'm okay with the Lucky Charms guy. I'm okay with Will Ferrell's short-lived character who gets murdered almost immediately. It's Random Task. The guy who looks like Odd Job and throws a shoe. I don't like Random Task. I just don't like him.
He doesn't do very much. I mean, he manages to subdue
background.
them, but yeah. He throws his shoe. I feel like it's the satire making one person into a joke, and then like he has to stick around, but he doesn't do much else.
Exactly. And admittedly, Odd Job didn't do a lot in Goldfinger.
Sure. Yes.
And yet he made such a strong impression that he got, commercial deals afterwards where he would continue to play the part of Odd Job. He's a favorite character in the greatest James Bond video game. Like, Odd Job made an impression. Random Task felt like someone who just didn't like Odd Job and just wanted to give the character the middle finger. That's how I feel about Random Task. It just doesn't work for me.
As a henchman, yeah. As a satire of a henchman, yeah. All of the above.
Yep. Are you ready to go to Vegas?
I can't even remember what happens in Vegas. Well,
okay. This is the reason that I have an issue with this movie. A lot of the beginning of the movie feels like we are telling a story, and that story will matter, and that every piece that we have heard so far is going to fit together in the main story. And then we get to Vegas, and it becomes a series of sketches. It becomes Monty Python and the Meaning of Life. It's just bits. It's just sketches that they put together in chronological order. And that's where it kind of falls apart for me.
I'll be like, yeah, the middle act of the movie is a lot of, sketch nonsense, which can be funny. That's not a dig at sketch nonsense, but the setup of, okay, here's Austin Powers, here's who he is, we've got him back from the 60s. Oh, here's Dr. Evil, here's who he is. We've got his people around Dr. Evil. We've got people around Austin Powers. We've got them. The main lead and romantic interest are on the plane and have a conflict. And we're setting up a regular movie. But let's have Dr. Evil do the Macarena when he meets his clone son. Like, that's very topical for the 90s. Sure. That doesn't do anything right now. Like,
oh man, talk about a called shot. When you said that's topical for the 90s, I had completely forgotten all about, was it Dolly? Was that the name of the sheep they cloned?
Oh, right. Yeah.
Because in the mid to late 90s, cloning was the hot topic. And then it turned out that cloning wasn't what we thought it was going to be. Turns out you're just giving birth to a whole new life, and even if they have the same genetic sequence as the previous life, their lived experiences make them entirely different people, and so you will not become an immortal by cloning yourself over and over again. And so, people will point to regulations in the US where they were like, no, cloning is illegal, but regulations weren't everywhere. Famously, they were not in China. It's just that billionaires realize, if you're trying to get to immortality, cloning is not the way.
Yeah, I think, I agree with your sketches and cloning, Scott, and it just is... And is this middle act mostly where most of the catchphrases come from? Because that would make more sense as to why they're used, but not very... when you watch the movie, it's kind of just a moment that hits and passes.
Yeah. Yeah. You're like, why did this become so important to culture? Why did this line in particular that they just threw out there become the thing that everyone says? Why have I heard, "Do I make you horny, baby," 700 times when the movie said it twice? Like,
yeah, and that comes from the airplane scene where it just felt so awful,
creepy, and gross.
Yeah, like, and if we allow for Austin Powers to be exactly who he was in the 60s, okay. But yeah, that doesn't help me see him as the solution to beating Dr. Evil. And it pushes Austin further from being, I guess, the hero of this movie.
Well, then the other Mike Myers line from his other character, Dr. Evil, the other sketch that's going to happen. Like, I'm not even keeping track of when these sketches happen. They're
Right.
just like they don't
Don't matter
They're
when they
not part
happen.
of the plot. Yeah. When Scott Evil has an argument with his dad, and his dad starts saying "zip it,"
Yeah.
and goes through a whole series. Like, oh man, did I hear "zip it" all the time, and I heard it from teachers primarily. So clearly they watched the movie multiple times.
Lots of people, I guess, watch this movie. Ugh.
Yeah, so I do kind of want to touch on the key plot-ish points.
Sure.
We meet a lotta vagina, spelled with an F.
I really didn't know until I watched it with captions. I was
Yep.
like, how do they... Okay, so that's how they make it happen.
I mean, they got away with pussy galore
Yeah.
in the 60s.
I
Like,
don't...
and octopussy, like...
Yeah. I don't hold the name against the idea of satire of James Bond. It works because there's so many random Bond women names. Let's have Xenia on top. Let's have Strawberry Fields. Let's have Jinx. I can't even remember. Jinx isn't even that bad.
Jinx was her nickname, and I cannot remember what her full name was,
Yeah.
but you're dead on. 70s through the 80s, there were some of those names where you were like, what? What are we saying? I've already forgotten who I put as my number 5 Bond girl. Plenty O'Toole.
Oh, right.
Like, plenty.
Plenty.
She was quite plenty. Like, ooh. Okay. So a lot of vagina matters because at one point, Austin abandons the drunken Vanessa, who he refused to sleep with, to go break into Alada's penthouse and get some information about number 2. And she discovers him, and they just sleep together. Like, she knows he's the bad guy. She knows, like, she finds his business card.
I couldn't quite tell if it was like he was like, and again, we can point to James Bond and be like, why did you sleep with the bad lady? Oh, just because. Like, well, okay, fair's fair, Austin. You're just sleeping with the bad person.
That's just what we do, I guess.
For a minute, I thought that the Alata lady was Winnie from Wonder Years.
I did too, for a brief moment. The briefest of moments.
Because I think the next time that I saw Winnie was in How I Met Your Mother, and it was like, oh, right. Whoa, you look different just a little bit. But then Austin Powers, this is not the same actress.
Not at all. I don't know who Fabiano Udinio. I don't know anything about that actress or her work. I'm trying to see if there's anything that would tell me like she's done this or that, but like I would have to look her up on IMDb. What I don't know is if those are her big air quotes real fake boobs, or if they're like prosthetics for the movie because they float in the hot tub. Like, I don't know. She's meant to look like the plastic woman that the bad guys would be into, and I just don't know if those are hers or made for the movie.
I don't know. I think that's a interesting plot point of them. When you first said the Japanese Bond movie, I thought you were going to this tub scene where they would...
This was the other thing
Right.
from You Only Live Twice.
Where that was super awkward, but part of the culture. This is like, we're in Vegas, and this is just how the rooms are. So it
yeah, baby.
felt like it was a nod in that sense too, to that James Bond.
Well, they do the direct quote from Tiger, and Austin Powers adds to the quote. I don't remember who said it, but way back when we did You Only Live Twice, someone on TikTok said, if at all. That was what their comment was. Or I guess they said men come first, women come second, if at all.
Right.
And at the time, I read that comment and I was like, I had to go back to the movie. I had to watch that scene over again. And I was like, Tiger never said if at all. Bond never said if at all. Why is he saying if at all in this comment? And then we watched this movie and Austin Powers adds if at all. And I was like, oh, he has invaded other movies' famous quotes. Like,
yeah, it's maybe less of a sketch moment, but also it barely is interested in that both of them just, I don't feel like it's the romantic interest with Vanessa has gone anywhere, much like most Bond movies, enough for it to be, oh, he's going over there and he's sleeping with someone else, but she likes him. It's like you're just manufacturing a reason for the woman who initially does not like Austin at all to have something to resolve with him where he says, I'm sorry, and it's all better.
That's all it takes. It's in the tour in the next scene when they're having the argument, and all he says is he's sorry, and everything's all better.
Yeah.
He says some horrible stuff, and she makes some very valid points. But all he had to say was he's sorry, and it's okay. She's in love with him again.
Yeah. I mean, we've skipped far past.
I was going to say, we've skipped so many scenes.
The worst scene
and
in the
I'm
movie.
I was going to say, I'm not opposed to skipping who does number 2 work for, even though that kills our Lucky Charms guy. But we barely mention the Lucky Charms guy, so I don't care.
Yeah.
And then the other scene that we crossed over was the Q-like scene where they are showing Austin, his one and only gadget, which is a watch, and then all of that dental stuff. And it's a running gag about how bad his teeth are. And then he punches another old lady. He punches the old lady who says it's a man and he's wrong. I hate it. I hate that whole scene.
I'm trying to remember when they finally get back to the old lady. But yeah, since it is, I don't know, meant to say he didn't have the same knack for his spy work that he used to have. Mm-hmm. It's just Mike Myers punching a lady. Like, okay.
Yeah, this is really just like almost all of the middle part of the movie is just showing us that Bond is, I'm going to say this for the entire franchise, that Austin is out of touch and the 90s are too much for him. But then, they immediately will cut to Dr. Evil having a hard time adjusting to the 90s. And so I'm sitting here thinking like, well, it's not like the bad guys have an advantage on him. Like, everybody sucks at the 90s.
Yeah. Oh, I just don't know how much we're going through.
I skipped over it entirely because I think it should have been cut from the movie, but then you wouldn't have enough
for
Dr.
an hour
Evil scenes.
Yeah. Wouldn't have enough for an hour and a half movie. You'd have an hour-long movie.
I didn't love any of the father-son therapy running gag.
Yeah.
Even though Princess Leia is the therapist.
Right.
And that's a pretty huge cameo.
That would be... Yeah.
And yet I just think all of those scenes should have been cut. I don't care for them. I don't think they work. I don't think they're funny. I don't think anything of them at all.
Yeah.
If there was something you liked about them, feel free to jump in and be like, you're wrong. The therapy was great.
No, therapy was Like, it feels like a lot of trying to be introspective on a character for funny purposes, and then it's like we get one laugh out of it because the therapist says, well, that's too much for us to delve into, like, so that's why he's evil. Like, well, There's no really redeeming these evil people.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I'm not into any of those. I'll be honest. Of all of the little bits that we get, because most of this movie are just bits, my favorite is the introduction of the Fembots, and I think it's because they use Boots Are Made for Walking. By Nancy Sinatra. Is that who sang that song?
I have no idea who sang that.
I just love that song. And I feel like as a little micro music video to introduce us to the Fembots that are going to kill Austin Powers, I think that whole little vignette set to music really works. And when they start firing off from the boobs while the song really kicks off, I'm like, that's great. That is great editing, and it works for me. I've hated everything that I've been watching so far, but suddenly the Fembots, I'm like, okay, this is cool. And it's all because of music. And I'm just going to point out that probably the most redeeming factor of this movie is its soundtrack. Like, so much of the music in here is just really good music. Yeah.
That's not a bad opinion.
So
I think it's the Fembots were. I think of their scenes, I enjoy this one more than their second appearance, because their second one is just over the top. Like, this is where
I'm gonna hard disagree.
Okay. It's the satire of James Bond's sex appeal to be so powerful. Austin Powers is even more powerful and can blow things up, like blow up computers, and it again just leads to it's not what you think when Vanessa gets there and she's like, I believe you. Like,
yeah, she
to
just
be
believes
fair,
him.
Yes, that is exactly what happened. It
wasn't what she thinks. Yes.
But
I do want to. I'm fine with going back to the infiltration of the base, but I do want to say the conclusion of the Fembots. I find it delightful, but the thing that sells it for me is when they introduce themselves to Bond. There are a total of 7 that we see. I think he destroys 6 of them, so we have no idea what happened to number 7. But we see 5 in front of him, 2 behind him. One of those 2 eventually lands on his head. But the way they do their talking, where they'll say a line and then it starts echoing throughout the room, and then the camera will zoom in on some of the background ones and you'll hear a line echoing, and then it'll come to that Fembot who will say it clearly. Like, I don't know why, but I really thought that was great. I just, like, I'll say it all the time. Even a bad movie can have a great moment. And for me, having the Fembots introduce themselves to Austin, the little echoing effect really worked for me. I liked it.
I gotcha. Oh, I didn't like much of all of that. It was maybe I just didn't want to see a British flag on a Speedo being shooken at me. Like,
I'm almost 41. I've seen so many jiggles in Speedos that I never wanted to see, and now I'm just desensitized to them. Thank you, LMFAO, for your music videos. Well, let's actually kind of talk about the infiltration, because it starts out kind of clever. There's a secret door at the end of the tour that just happens to have a men and women's bathroom that for some reason that's the one that top secret personnel have to use. It's convenient. It's kind of funny that it happens.
Has to be outside the doors where people can get in.
Yes. And so that part I'm like, all right, thumbs up. Dumb funny is still funny. Yes. I'm going to give it a thumbs up. And then immediately they go to the cement rollers. And I remember thinking this was the funniest thing I ever saw when I was a kid. And the older I get, the less funny it is.
Yes, the less funny it is. I could still appreciate the fact that it is trying to be poke fun at scenes where people get run over, and it kind of drags out just a little bit, but
on Her Majesty's Secret Service, when a skier goes right into a snow remover's drill, or a crank shaft, I guess.
Yeah.
That was pretty indulgent. And, this isn't graphic by any means.
No.
There's no blood. It's all sound effects. And it is kind of funny that they decide to stop the cement roller right after they have crushed the guy.
Yeah. It's
like, I'll give them that. That is a good chuckle. This movie just loves its long gags, and this is the most famous of all of the long gags in this movie.
Everyone involved. I think the security guard did his best and should be given the most credit for what funny exists in that scene.
It's Michael McDonald, and I know he was another comedic actor. I can't remember if he was Saturday Night Live. Nope, he was Mad TV. That's where he was from. I was like, I know he was in one of the sketch comedy shows. So he was Mad TV. There are a lot of background actors. Clint Howard is the big boy never went away sir guy. Will Ferrell is Mustafa, who gets killed in a pretty great scene because we just hear his voice in the background. I'm trying to see
it's still
some of the
a little
others.
bit of a long gag when he gets dead, but
it is, but it's one of those that I kind of forgive. I don't know why Will Ferrell works for me, but it does. And the fact that it's a long gag that ends with uncertainty, like you get to the end of it and Dr. Evil is sitting there quietly, like, is he going to go again? Like, is it going to happen again? So that part worked for me. But I'm sitting here thinking about some of the other cameos of people who do not, they're just people that nobody would have noticed. There's the soup Nazi from Seinfeld. There's the "You're a very bad man" Jerry from Seinfeld. Like, he's the head of the UN. So at least two Seinfeld actors are
trying to remember where that was.
But anyway, Michael McDonald, he gets smushed, and then they get caught.
And Bond gets a tour of the bad guys lair.
And this is the other thing that I think is shockingly good, and it's probably because we just watched Bond, but listening to Scott be like, I got a gun in my room, let's just do it together. That works for me.
It annoyed everyone whenever they watched a Bond film to be like, why are you not watching them die? Why can't we just do it now?
Yeah, like, why do we have to have this elaborate thing? Let's just put a bullet in them. And it all starts with Goldfinger with the laser. And no, Mr. Bond, I expect you to die. And that kind of became I'm going to use sharks in a pool, and I'm not going to watch them die. And then I'm going to use this and that. And just got more and more elaborate, but nobody would watch Bond die. And I do like that this movie just points directly at that, and it's probably Seth Green's best scene in the whole movie.
Yeah. Just the one guard gets to try and watch him die.
Yeah. I hate the head puns. Okay. To give the audience context, there are no sharks. There are irritable bass for some reason.
Mutated.
And I guess that, mutated to be slightly more irritable. And they don't have lasers on their heads, but I guess they will eat man. Because when
they eat somebody.
When Austin gets away with Vanessa, they slowly dip the guard's head into the water just to have it eaten and to give us like 3 minutes of puns.
Yeah. It's a bit of puns.
Yep. It loses me again. Like, I've been having a great time. Then the puns happen, and I'm like, ugh, this movie sucks again. And then we get the Fembots to happen, and I'm like, this movie rocks again.
Oh, no. Nope. Second act is the weakest. First act is probably second.
Oh, yeah. 100%.
And then third act. I don't love the Fembots, but since they work for you, I think the rest of it has enough of pieces of good. I enjoy when number 2 tells off Dr. Evil. Like, yes. I did a good job. What are you doing?
Yeah, you're bad at this. I'm great at this.
Yeah.
I also love Dr. Evil's Dr. No plastic suit that he wears. For some reason, nobody else is wearing it. Like in Dr. No, everybody was wearing it.
Kind of fixing himself inside of it. Like, yes. Yeah, those things look awkward.
Like it's a dumb visual gag. It probably goes on a little bit too long. When he can't sit in the chair is about the time I'm bored with it.
Yeah.
But when we first see it, and because we had not just, but this year we had watched Dr. No, I was like, hey, I get that reference. I know what that is. So I liked it. I was okay with it. But, they've got the infiltration, the vaguely action-y scene of British forces raiding the underground layer and having a shootout with the evil forces. It looks so awkward.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like we're leaving a couple things behind, but I'm good with not.
Feel free with pulling the reins and saying I need to talk about this, because most of this movie are just bits.
Yeah.
And I have kind of only talked about the bits that stood out to me. So please take us back before I take us to the end.
No, I think the shoot makes me think of the volcano lair when they're fighting each other. I definitely don't love the visually. I can see a clip and say, oh, that's Austin Powers getting a cart stuck in a hallway, but watching it was brutal, because it's like, okay, this will get stuck. I'm not laughing any harder, and I wasn't laughing initially.
I don't know why I completely skipped that one. It's the last of the famous visual gags, right? And the older I get, the less I like it. And I think that's the thing that stood out to me most glaringly is the last time we see it, he crashes into the wall with his all metal cart, and they make a glass shattering noise as though he broke a headlight. And I'm just like, you're doing so much extra work with the sound effects, but I can see with my eyeballs that no glass broke. Yeah. Like, oh man, that part just irks me every time.
I guess the last bit of before the very ending, Vanessa is in her matching her mother's outfit when she's coming in. She's checking out the British forces in their red shirts. I'm like, are we back in the Revolutionary War? Are we?
Never let them see you bleed.
And she's in her black, like, Catwoman outfit. Yes. I'm like, oh, that is. She did come back to it. I was trying to remember. But then we foil Dr. Evil's plan, and I'm good.
I mean, they've got the giant abort button, so Austin can slow motion run to it and
right
jump
at the end,
hit it. Yeah, I'm not a huge fan. Like, there are times when I'm like, okay, it's kind of funny that they shot it like a 1960s action scene with heavy choreography, and they probably would reset to one and reshoot it again and again. And so people are very stiff and they move in very coordinated, like very choreographed ways. And so there are times when I watch it, I'm like, okay, that's kind of funny. And then other times I watch it and I'm like, we don't need it. Come on.
Yeah.
But, I'm on the fence with the invasion itself. Thankfully, and I can't believe I'm saying this, thankfully the movie continues after the plan gets foiled, and ruined.
Yeah.
Because, this was where you pointed out the number 2 stands up for himself and he gets eliminated. But this is also where Austin catches up to Dr. Evil. And I think this is the first time where we see both of their faces on screen. No, this is the second time. We got them at dinner.
Yeah.
So
I did chuckle because Mike Myers as Dr. Evil was so convincing. At one point earlier when they're walking past each other at the first time they get caught, I was like, wait, why are they having a bald stand-in walk between Vanessa and Mike? And then I was like, oh, right, duh. He can't be 2 people, Justin.
There's another person who is the same person in this room.
There's a real reason why.
So it is good in that regard. There are times when you just forget, and I will always give this movie that credit.
Yeah. They kind of ruined the escape for me, at least, because Austin Powers does his flip into this car that he's done before, and he lands on the gear shift, and it's a nut joke. Like, it's ouch. He hurt himself.
They don't give any of the troopers a ride. They're like, you guys have to go on foot. Good luck surviving.
Yeah.
I don't love that. I'm fine with them getting married so we can have our random task scene, I guess. Maybe.
The last henchman scene.
Yeah. We stopped having those in Bond movies. Why can't we have them here?
Seemed okay. The naked gag scenes, man, is it just, I don't know what, I'm like, okay, you're just naked, except at least this one where it's their honeymoon makes a little more logical sense of you're naked. Way back in the earlier third of the movie, I was just like, why in the world is he walking around naked for a
and
sausage
why is Vanessa okay with this?
Well, and I assume that she didn't see him, but man,
I guess not.
That's all. Yeah. Of 2 rather awkward scenes, this one was less awkward.
I'm kind of okay with both of them. I am a sucker for complicated blocking, or staging is another word for it. But, when you have to hit your beats at a very specific time or it messes up everything and you can have a domino effect of things getting messed up. A million years ago when I used to do musical theater, that was my favorite stuff to do, would be those overly complicated dance numbers where everybody had to be at a very specific place at a very specific time. And in film, you can cheat. You can have cuts. You can, film only the parts that work and then cut them together. And I don't think they do that. I think they use a long shot where they just have one camera set up.
Yeah.
And they have to hit all of their marks, whether it's Mike Myers in a Speedo trying to pretend that he's naked and Vanessa, twirling a magnifying glass or the sausage, or having both of them naked and doing their thing. Like, all of the blocking and the beats have to be perfect. And in this particular case, if they miss one, they have to reset the entire thing because they can't just do a cut and splice it in. So I'm going to give them their credit there. Like, yes, it is one of those things that was definitely made for teenage boys to be like, oh, they're almost naked.
Yeah.
But for me, as a sucker for complicated blocking, I'm okay with it. I think it's good.
Well, I would rate the first one below 5, the second one above 5. It's the choreography of the scene. I'll give it to you that it's complicated and they did a good job of hiding their naked bits, I guess.
I mean, at all times, I'm pretty sure they have, things to cover themselves because, that's just the way it is. And so if we were to look at like deleted scenes, you would see pasties on Elizabeth Hurley's and both of them in Speedos. But even then, you still, like, the joke doesn't work if you see the pasty.
Yeah.
Like, the joke just loses its luster. And that's why I agree with you. The first one doesn't work as good because you can clearly see Austin Powers in a Speedo. And so I'm like, that one doesn't work as well.
Well, the henchman shows up and tries to fight him, and this long-running gag of a penis pump that doesn't belong to Austin disables...
Oh my god, I hate that.
random task, and they celebrate by looking out a telescope and seeing the frozen Big Boy Burger spaceship. The end.
Yeah, I mean, I'm glad that the Swedish penis pump or enlarger or whatever they call it, I'm glad that got one little button at the end to justify it, but I absolutely hate Austin Powers' discharge from the cryogenic chamber and the constant running gag of like, here's a receipt for the penis enlarger. Here's a book by Austin Powers about how much he loves it. Like, that part didn't work for me, but, I'm fine with it being used to kill random task, I guess. But yeah, like, the movie ends, and I think this is... So, they have post-credit scenes, or at least mid-credit scenes, but they're not scenes necessarily. They're just images and stuff, but it kept my butt in the seats to watch it.
Well, I dislike this movie so much. I think I saw the end and did not look at the running time. So just now I am seeing these clips as I got to the end, and it's like, oh, there's Austin as a photographer, and we get Elizabeth Hurley in nice outfits. Yes, she's the most prettiest woman in 1997. Go ahead.
There's also the assistant who is in there, and he'll be part of the running gag of those images, but it is primarily Mike Myers and Elizabeth Hurley. Elizabeth Hurley in particular just looking gorgeous for 5 minutes.
Yeah.
And then they do a music video for, I think it's the Ming T is the name of Mike Myers' band.
Guess so.
I had forgotten that he had a band, and this is one of those things where, because I had forgotten most of this movie, I looked at the list of songs at the end credits, and I was like 90% of these are on my liked songs, and I'm pretty sure that Ming T song about the BBC is in my liked songs. Like, it's a dumb song, but I like it. I like screaming BBC 1, BBC 2, BBC 3. Like, I'm into it.
I think since we see where the band is coming from, the interspersed That 70s Show clips of them in between some of the scenes in this movie had me all sorts of mixed up, because I was not sure what Austin Powers was to them. It was just people from the 60s, but we're now in the 90s. Why are they still around? What is this? But I never really was curious long enough to find out.
Yeah, and I've never watched things like The Monkees to know if that is something that was actually happening in the 60s and 70s. But the first time it happened, it threw me off. And I'm glad you brought it up, because, there's no way to point it out. Like, oh yeah, and in the movie they have these interstitials that are just a little bit of song and some weird camera angles. First time it threw me off. Second or third time I was like, okay, I'm fine with it. And then there's the teeth one, where it ends with a zoom on that terrible mouth prosthetic. And I was like, all right, I'm off of it again. I hate them now. I hate all of them because of the teeth one.
Yeah. Yep. That's not James Bond will return again.
Yeah.
Just get a groovy baby at the end of it, and it doesn't invoke anything in me to hear those words, see those words.
Yeah, and it, if you were unfamiliar with Bond, you'd probably be like, why? Why is that there? But even if you were familiar with Bond, if you didn't watch all the end credits, you don't know that they always say James Bond will return. And frankly, I missed the groovy baby. I watched this movie twice, and I watched them all the way to the end of the credits, and I missed it both times.
Yeah.
What I did not miss was the very last song, and I don't remember what it's called, but when I heard it, it blew my mind because it's on like 3 or 4 of my favorite playlists. It's just such a weird song, and I love it. And the chorus says, "The female of the species is more deadlier than the male." And the way the guy sings it is just such an interesting way. And for like the past decade, I've been like, man, this song is so weird and good, and I love it. And then I hear it at the very end of the credits for like 1 minute of the song, and I'm like, did I secretly fall in love with this song because of Austin Powers? Like,
Possibly. Seems like.
I guess so. All right. Well, I'm going to start it off now because we're pretty tidy.
Yeah.
On this show, if you are new here, we do reviews, or we do ratings and not grades. The primary difference between a rating and a grade is where you find the average. In a grade, we don't want students to feel bad, so we say a 7 out of 10 is the average. But that's a grade. That's not the average. We're doing a rating where we say a 5 out of 10 is the middle. That is the average. So if your favorite movie gets a 5 out of 10, we're not saying it's a bad movie. We're saying it's an average movie. So with that said, Justin, what would you rate Austin Powers, International Man of Mystery on a scale of 1 to 10?
This is the worst Austin Powers movie I have ever seen. The average of 5, I'm going to go with 3.5 because I actively disliked parts, and I feel like I probably disliked this movie more than Thunderball of James Bond. And that's saying plenty. There are 3.5 good moments in this movie. There's more. I just had to go with it.
Yeah, that was a good. That was good.
There's some good funny. There's some good. What would you say? Plot wise, and then there's just a lot of sketches that maybe were funny. I don't know that they carry any much humor now for me, but I'm not in the target demographic for this sort of comedy anymore, I think.
Yeah, I have also aged out of it. And I think that's a good way to put it. It is juvenile.
Yeah, it doesn't care that it's juvenile. Like, it's going for it. So, yes.
It's quite proud of being juvenile. And again, 20 years ago, it worked for me. And at that point, the movie was almost 10 years old. So like, it had a shockingly long shelf life for a comedy. But we're not reviewing this movie based on the past. We're reviewing it based on the present. And therefore, I'm at a 3 out of 10. Like, I had trouble watching this both times. Like, the first time I watched it, I almost turned it off. And then I remembered that we have to record this thing.
I gotta know what happens.
Yep. And then the second time I was like, okay, maybe I was just in a bad mood and that's not the movie's fault. I'm going to try this again. Same. And I'll admit, I probably liked a few parts more the second time around. I think I had primed the pumps to be like, okay, we're in mid 90s comedy. Let's just take ourselves back there. and see if we can enjoy it. And that's where my most glowing parts of this entire episode, that came from the second viewing. That came from me giving it a second appraisal and being like, okay, there are parts of this movie that genuinely work, and I got to give it credit for that. But the movie hasn't aged well. It's a comedy. It shouldn't age well. Like, that's the point of comedy.
I guess so.
It should live in its time.
Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah, but that, that gives us an average rating of 3.25.
See, I just kind of disagree because I kind of caught a little bit of Groundhog Day recently, and it's still funny. It's still funny.
Can I tell you something? I'm sad that that's not a franchise because I have only ever seen scenes from Groundhog's Day. I have never watched the whole thing from start to finish. And the scenes I have watched are still funny. Like, I have no concept of what the whole movie is like. I know what it's about, obviously. It's one of the most important time loop movies of all time.
Right.
But I've never sat down to watch it from start to finish, and that's a shame. So I do need to see how well it stands up from beginning to end.
Anyway, we are 1/3 of the way through Austin Powers.
We did it. Now, I haven't watched these movies for 20 years, so I cannot speak to their quality, but I am going to say that I at least remember Austin Powers, The Spy Who Shagged Me, being a better movie than the first one.
That's what I've heard.
Oh man, do I hope that's true.
We'll get it to the 4s. It'll make it.
Yeah, maybe we'll even make it to a 5. Like
possible.
Oh man. All right. Well, that's gonna do it for us. If you heard this and you're like, how dare you butcher one of the greatest comedy movies of all time, send us an email, potatochippicturespod@gmail.com. We would love to hear your opinion about this movie.
We respect all takes.
Exactly. We might not read it out loud, but, if it's email, there's a good chance we will, because most of the time we only get comments from our shorts, which you can find on YouTube, TikTok, and Instagram. It's also a really good way to share little tiny clips from the episodes to be like, hey, you like this movie. These two guys were riffing and talking about it for a bit. Why don't you, I'm going to send you this clip. You should check out the whole episode. Or that's the other way you can help us out. Why don't you share the whole episode with your friends? Give us a comment, leave us a review, do all of those things that help us to grow. And of course, as always, we will be back next week with Austin Powers, The Spy Who Shagged Me. I guess groovy, baby, since that's how this one ends.
Yep, I guess so. Goodbye.
Thank you guys for listening. Bye.